Hi, I'm Brad DeRoche. Welcome to my series on guitar fundamentals. This is lesson 27, and in this lesson the focus is on harmonics. Now, harmonics are called for in many pieces in the guitar repertoire, and so you'll have to be able to master these in order to play most of the literature from the 19th, 20th, and 21st centuries. So, how to play harmonics on the guitar. To begin with, harmonics, natural or open string harmonics, require a very nice light touch in the left hand. So we actually don't depress the string all the way down to the fret. We just touch the string enough to mute it actually, and then pluck with the right hand. So let me give you an example here. If we were to look at the 12th fret on the guitar, on most classical guitars, that's where the neck and body join. Anyway, the 12th fret wire, if you put your finger directly over that fret and just barely touch the string, and then you pluck, you'll hear a very beautiful bell-like sound. Now, if we miss the fret and we actually play in the space between the two, the note doesn't come out. It's kind of strange. It requires a fine touch. So you have to be right above the fret wire itself. This isn't actually where we would play. It's a little bit too straight up on top of the fret wire. So if the fret wire is here, normally we would play, our finger would go just to the side of that fret when we're touching the string. But for a harmonic, we touch right above the fret itself. So you make sure when you're practicing that you're touching right above the fret wire. All right, so it requires pluck in the right hand and a very light touch in the left hand. Now, the strongest harmonics are found at the 12th fret, the 7th fret, and the 5th fret. They're actually the entire length of the string, but some of them are very difficult to get to sound out. And so we don't use those near as much as we do these three. There are others. 4th fret is another example. That one's in there. Also the 9th fret, same harmonic note. So there are others that can be pulled out, and more besides that. But most of the ones that you'll see are either 12th fret, which is an octave above the open string. So here's E. The 12th fret is an E 1 octave higher, or the same as the fretted note right there. The 7th fret, let me jump to the 5th fret actually next. The 5th fret is 2 octaves above the open string. So if this is E, this is an E 1 octave higher. That is E 2 octaves higher. Okay, so that would be the same as a 24th fret. I guess that would be about right here on this guitar, which I don't have. So anyway, the next one to look at would be the 7th fret. Now the 7th fret harmonic actually produces a different pitch, and that pitch is a perfect fifth above the open string. And a perfect fifth is the same as 7 frets on the guitar, the distance of 7 frets. So it would be the same as the note that would be found fretted right there. So if E is my open string and I hit a harmonic at the 7th fret, the note that it will produce is a fifth above E, which is the note B. And it's also the note that would be found at that fret. All right, you get the idea, I think. So the way to play these harmonics, again, is to be right above the fret wire and just barely touch the string, enough to just mute it the tiniest bit. And then what I would do is I would actually practice each of the 4 fingers here. So practice with index finger so that you're comfortable with that. Also middle finger, 3rd finger, and little finger, so that you can do any one of the 4 fingers. You never know in the piece of music which finger will be available to play a harmonic. Sometimes you can't use your favorite one. You might have, that finger might be busy doing something else. So practice with all the different fingers. Then another good technique would be to practice with the different right hand fingers so that you're not always using the same one to pluck with, including thumb. And do practice them on all strings. This is with individual fingers. You can also practice them as a bar, so that you're doing one finger. All right, so here I'm using a 4th finger as a bar, some different things to practice there. That would be helpful. And then one last little note on this that is oftentimes very helpful for a lot of people. They'll be playing and they're not getting a lot of sound out, and like, how come I'm not getting very much sound out of this? If you play further back toward the bridge, it tends to excite the higher partials. I don't know if you remember that from a previous lesson. We talked about that, moving back by the bridge or kind of being more straight on with the fingernail. That excites more high partials or a brighter sound, and that will excite the harmonics more. So just listen to the difference here. This is with a very dark, rounded sound because I'm going so parallel with the string. But if I move across and I'm using pure nail here, very different sound. So that's a very bright sound and naily, so it helps the harmonics to pop out a little bit more sometimes. All right, let's move on. Another thing that happens a lot of times in music is that you need to play these open string harmonics here, but you have something else going on here. So here's an example. So now I'm playing the harmonic up here, but I have to hold a chord. And what I've done here is I've actually held the nodal point with the index finger and then plucked with the ring finger. So this takes some time to develop this technique. You don't really need to hold a chord. You could practice without it, but so what I'm doing is I'm plucking with ring finger and touching the harmonic place with the right hand index finger. So you can do that at any one of those nice strong nodal points. All right, hopefully that made sense, that example. All right, so again, I'm plucking with ring finger, touching the nodal point with index finger. Now you should also practice using the thumb as the plucking finger, especially for the basses. This works a lot better. So I'm actually going to pluck with thumb. Hard to see this one, I guess, but here we are. So the thumb is actually going underneath the index finger. So I've really extended the index finger out and I'm plucking behind it with the thumb. Okay, I don't know if you can see that very well, but hopefully so. That doesn't help much, that angle, but I'll try and keep these fingers out of the way here. Better here. Okay, hopefully it made sense. And anyway, so the thumb is now the plucking finger. So you need to practice probably with both thumb and ring. So usually I tend to use the ring finger for the trebles and thumb for basses. That's generally how I break it up. It's not 100% foolproof, but that's sort of how I tend to do it. Then let's look at another type of harmonic that comes up in a piece of music, and those are ones that are not open string harmonics. So what if I wanted to play something like this? So what I've done here is I've actually included a note that wasn't an open string. So I'm playing C here. I'm on the first fret of the second string playing the note C. But if I wanted to play a harmonic of that, I would need to go 12 frets higher, so it's going to be the 13th fret. Just think of where C would be. If the 12th fret is like the open string, the C is 1 fret higher here, so it would also be 1 fret higher here. So that's now my nodal point, so I'm going to pluck that nodal point, and that produces a harmonic 1 octave above the note that I'm fretting. So in an example like that, you could do Giuliani exercises, the arpeggios. So what I did is I took Giuliani arpeggio number 2 from the 120 studies, and then I played the harmonic notes up here with the right hand using index finger and ring to pluck. And then with the C, I had to pluck 13th fret. Whoops. The E is an open string, so that's 12th fret. Then when I switched to the G7 chord in the second measure, I had to play the D here 3 frets higher than the 12th fret, so it's way up here on the 15th fret. F is 1 fret higher, 13th fret. Okay, so I just used the Giuliani example. You could do each one of the notes in the group if you wanted. So all I think about is how far are these notes past past the nut or past the open string. This one is 2 frets higher, so I think of the 12th fret as the same as the open string, if you would, and I got 2 frets for that. There's the B, this one's open, so is this. Then D is the 3rd fret, F is 1 higher, so a fairly crappy example for you, but hopefully you'll be able to make some sense out of it and create your own exercise. This is something that just came to me in this moment. I've actually never practiced the Giuliani with arpeggios with harmonics before until today, but it seemed like it was fitting because we've talked about Giuliani in previous exercises. So anyway, you could do it with a scale if you wanted, whatever works, just so that you're practicing all the different frets. So the fretted ones are a little trickier. You're coordinating both right and left hand, so those are require some more practice. Maybe a simple scale, Mary Had a Little Lamb, Giuliani, whatever you like, something to practice our harmonics. That will be helpful for you. So we had a few different varieties we looked at today. The open string type, those are using the open string, and you can play 12 frets above, 5 frets above, 7 frets above. Those are the most common ones called for in music. Then we have different ways of plucking those. We can also use the right hand to be the plucker and the place that the finger that touches the nodal point. So the right hand can do it all, or you can do right and left hand both for the open string style. For the fretted ones, here we have to use the left hand, of course, to fret the note. So then the right hand has to do both the plucker and the spot that's touched with the other finger. All right. So there's a couple of examples for you there. So find a little thing to practice. There's quite a few of these little harmonics in the Segura's method book. So if you look around in there, you can find some with harmonics too. Anyway, I hope that it was useful for you and helpful, and you get some tips out of that one and can incorporate those into your technique practice too. And as always, hang in there, keep practicing, practice well, and I'll see you in the next lesson. Cheers.